If you would, Kathleen, just state your name and who you're with and your position in the bill and begin your testimony.
Yes, sir. I work with residents in Grapevine, but I'm just here representing myself today. Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today about this important legislation. I'm here to speak for the bill.
Tell us your name.
My name is Kathleen Thompson. It's an honor to be invited.
And are you for or against the bill?
I'm for the bill.
Okay, now you can say everything you want.
Last session, I drove down from Tarrant County to speak for video recording and archiving of open public meetings and to echo the sentiments of Representative Fallon that open government is good government. Then the legislation sailed through the Technology Committee, but it ran out of time in the regular session. From summer 2013 to spring 2014, I attended my Grapevine City Council meetings, and I or another helper video recorded the meetings on a small, inexpensive camera that I used to record my son's piano recitals that has excellent quality, I should say, and posted them for free online to YouTube, and there is no over 20-minute fee like I heard earlier. And many local governments do post on YouTube for themselves. We made the recordings, local media wrote about our efforts, and the videos were watched more than 1,000 times collectively. City employees, members of the media, and residents would stop me outside of City Hall or in the street and tell me that they were watching, and how much easier it was to keep track in contrast to the audio recording of 5 male council members, plus a male city attorney, plus a male city manager, 7 male voices. It was very difficult even for someone who regularly attends the council meetings to follow along. Our citizens group is called A Better Grapevine, and we were deemed by outside supporters as the C-SPAN of Grapevine. I'm not sure exactly what those in opposition called us. But for nearly a year, we did what our city should have been doing.
Can you repeat it?
I cannot. Eventually, 2 council members called for a vote for the city to record their own meetings and to archive them for the public. Over the years, so many residents have asked for this, to do what's been done since the 1990s, since I graduated high school in my hometown, in early 2000s in neighboring communities with a smaller population and far smaller annual budgets. I'm happy to tell you that because of our tireless efforts, the council voted unanimously to record and archive open meetings, and I celebrated that first night of recording by having dinner at home with my family. Modern technology allows hardworking, tax-paying residents an eye-opening view of their government as it happens, with live streaming and archiving to an exact agenda item. Residents deserve to know what decisions are being made and how, and this legislation makes local government more accessible, more accountable, and more transparent. When I spoke last session, Representative Fallon said doing this in 1993 was cutting edge, but in 2013 it's overdue. It's even more overdue now in 2015. Not every community has a group like ours with leadership dedicated to more accessible, accountable, and transparent government. We were told audio recordings were enough transparency. It should not have been such a protracted experience, but it was worth it. I hope that my city council will continue to video record and archive council meetings, and the passage of this legislation would require them and others of a certain size to do so. Thank you.
All right, was there any questions? All right, thank you for your efforts and what you've accomplished.
Thank you. Thank you, Representative Fallon.
Thank you for coming today. All right, the chair calls Susan Fletcher. Susan, if you would just state your name and who you're with and your position for or against the bill.
Thank you so much. Hi, my name is Susan Fletcher. I'm here to testify on behalf of myself in favor of HB 283. I'm the newest member of the Fallon County Commissioners Court, and transparency is a critical part of my job as a commissioner. I'm ever mindful of how the decisions that I make are going to impact those that I represent, and I think it's really important that we mandate this. Bottom line, when it comes to transparency and liberty, I believe those things should trump. You know, when it comes to, you're talking about an unfunded mandate as little as $200. Transparency and liberty are just so critical to how we govern. And we've heard testimony on the Open Meetings Act. We've heard testimony on how little it can cost to do this, and I think it's critical that we look at how we can inform our citizens and keep them abreast of what's happening, whether it be in the county commissioner's court, whether it be in the school district. They have a right to know what's going on and how their tax dollars are being spent. And so for Collin County's experience, we have a system that was set up relatively easily. We have paid a vendor for initial complete setup. All of our streaming and storage is off-site. So on average, very minimal impact on county resources to do court. Daily user requirements are rather minimal. Use of existing staff to run recording camera equipment. Very little training was required to do that. So I think that's another point that we need to make. For Collin County, we took an upper level of that. We heard $200, but we spend about $1,600 or $16,000 a month for this.
16,000 or 1,600?
16,000 a month for this. We pay grants, and so we've got an upper level of that. We can go back not just the 2 years, we can go back many, many years and look back. I can look back at court discussions that were held, many, many years ago. I've looked back at 2010 just since I've been on court to look at something on TCDRS. But we're talking about an upper level system that Collin County has. But my main points is I want to look at, very little impact when you're talking about training, when you're talking about resources. You can go back to looking at, from the full service, there's a wide variety of available vendors. You can go into full service, which would entail off-site streaming and storage and video files, and maintenance of systems and staff and film. You can have, an iPhone, just like we heard. You've got a camera right over here. And so, one of the other points that I would like to make, you've heard your colleagues, I'm sure yourself, you don't want to be taken out of context when you get up and speak. And I think it's critical to have something like this system in place, because there is no video public record right now. And so this actually protects the elected officials and the entities that they sit on. You've got a full public record. You can point back and say, here's the context of what I said. And that is critical when it comes to the public understanding that comment, because you can have a reporter or anyone else take something out of context with their iPhone right now. They can sit there right now and take your comment, and it may have been said in jest or anything else. And so it's critical for you to be able to protect those entities. So like I said, it can range from $200 up to what we pay $16,000 a month.
Members, any questions? All right, thank you very much for coming down here and sharing your testimony today. All right, the chair calls Heidi Hansen.
Hansen.
Is it H-A?
H-A-N.
Hansen.
Hansen.
Okay. All right, Heidi, go ahead. Tell us your name and who you're with and your position for against the bill.
Hello, my name is Heidi Hansen. I am with the Position 3 City Council of League City, and I'm here to speak in favor of the bill. And forgive me, I wasn't actually prepared to testify on this one, but I heard some really good stuff, so I wanted to jump in. I'm here for a bill a little bit later, but I wanted to speak to the experience that League City has had. We have had live streaming of our city council meetings since before we were 50,000 people. We are now at about 100,000. And it is something to really bolster what Susan Fletcher just said. This is something that protects us as legislators within our procedures and all the process that we go through to have our open meetings available for the eyes of our citizens to be upon it. And so one of the things that I heard earlier was there's a lot of talk about cost, but the way that we mitigate our cost is through PEG funds. And AT&T, Time Warner, Comcast all offer PEG funds to municipalities for use for upgrading, establishing your investment in video equipment anyways. And so it can even go to the extending, as long as you have a city channel, which we do, we have a municipal channel. Now, people joke about it and they say they watch it in case they can't go to sleep. They watch the city proceedings and that'll put them to sleep right away. But at the same time, when we're really trying to make strides, it's crucial for us to get as much information into the hands of our constituents as possible. And our ability to live stream our meetings is crucial to that. We also use our city channel to advertise at events. We advertise, get any of the information that we need to get concerning the budget process, et cetera, which I'll speak on later. And it's really crucial to our operations, and it protects us as legislators, and it protects the people as well. The more information they have, that they have available to them, the more they can direct their representatives as to what they want them to do. And I think too often, especially when it comes to local governments, they get away with so much because nobody's really watching. Nobody's really paying attention. And the people get frustrated because the level of information, they tend to, and I know because I felt this way before I ran for city council, I tended to think that so much happened behind closed doors that I just didn't have access to, and I would never know what was going on. And to be able to interject myself into local politics at a local level was really, really crucial. I think it goes a great distance towards improving transparency, and that way the people believe they're being represented better because they now have a say in the proceedings, and they can't get boondoggled by process because they have the eyes of Texas are on you. And you really have that sense when you're sitting in a city council meeting. So I just wanted to speak in favor of it. We use it with great effect in League City. Again, it doesn't come out of our general funds. There is no reason to worry about costs because our PEG funds cover all of that equipment and upgrades. And one other thing, we have now utilized it to implement remote Skyping into meetings. So it now benefits our legislators on city council because if they are gone, they can still participate in a meeting with the simple iPad. As long as we publish their location, we have city council members that have gone to Washington, D.C. or been here in Austin on business, and they can still participate in the business of the people back at home by not showing as absent for that meeting. They can still participate by using this equipment as well. So that was one other way that we've been able to expand our representation of our citizens. Thank you very much.
Members, any questions? Thanks, Heidi. All right, there's no one else that wishes to testify for the bill. We have several people that have recorded their positions in favor of the bill. Is there anybody else that would like to testify for, on, or against House Bill 283? All right, the chair sees none. Representative Fallon, we recognize you to close.
Thank you, Chair members. A few things I wanted to clear up. One is I did leave out that this would also include regional transportation authorities. It would include DART and some of the others. A couple things that we heard. It is great that there are hundreds of entities that are doing this. That's wonderful. But there are 121 entities that would be caught in this net that are not doing this. Now, they've had 25 years to do this, and they're clearly dragging their feet. We're all elected as well by the public, and sometimes we have to, nudge people forward to do a good thing. I have not talked to one person, one citizen, that when you describe what we're trying to do here with this bill, because I've been doing it for the last 2 years, that was against it. Not one person, because the rank and file, the citizens want this. But let's be honest, they're busy. They're not always watching what we're doing. They're not certainly always watching what their local elected officials are doing, considering that 4 to 6% of the people are voting for those folks. 96% don't even know who they are. And our name IDs aren't all that high either. So, to the gentleman's, I'll just speak for myself in that one. But the gentleman made a claim testifying for the counties about YouTube. YouTube is free. With a verified account, you can post a video up to 12 hours. So that would cover nearly 99.9% of the meetings that we're talking about here. And then the question about, well, if we do it, we want to do it right. Doing it at all is better than nothing, clearly. And now, with iPhones and iPads, videoing at high definition, this is top-notch stuff that years ago, even 5 years ago, would have been very expensive to do. So that argument is now, technology's passed that by as well. It's to the unfunded mandate argument. I came off city council very sensitive to that. We love limited government, as Representative Gutierrez had mentioned before. But the thing is, when is it truly an unfunded mandate when you can literally do this and satisfy the conditions of this bill for nothing, for no money, or have a county of 11,000 that can magically do it, or Richland Hills with 7,000 that can do it for $120 a month. There is one city, which will remain nameless, with a budget of $205 million a year. They're not doing it. Don't tell me it's because of money. It is not. Another county, which will remain nameless, $1.7 billion operating budget. And one school district is not doing it with an $800 million budget. That is a false argument. As for the fiscal note costs, as you can clearly see now that we've been fully informed, that are incredibly inaccurate and over-exaggerated. And lastly, the support that we had last session was bipartisan. I think we had 30, 40 members co-authoring and joint authoring. And one day on the floor this session, I got 25 members. I would encourage and welcome all of you to come into the tent. You'll feel better about yourselves. And at the end of the day, I think it's a very good bill. Transparency, open government is good government. And Mr. Chair, I would very much appreciate a favorable consideration of this pro-transparency bill to the gentleman.
Representative Gonzalez.
I have one question for Mr. Fallon.
Sure.
I hope you can answer this.
Okay.
Did I vote for this last session?
Yes, sir, you did. You were a co-author.
Just making sure we're on the same page.
You might have been a joint author. But you know, a great man once said, and I believe it was Chairman Gonzalez, and he said, transparency does have a cost. Fortunately for this bill, that cost could be as low as zero. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, the chair leaves House Bill 283 as pending business before the committee. All right, the chair lays out House Bill